There is a secret in Kimura. A dark secret. A plot to steal people in the night under a cloak of ignorance. Isn't that right, Rondine?
Trading is a wonderful profession.
Oh yes, my fellow hunters, it's time to get a real close look at Rondine. Now, of course, at this point in Rise's life cycle, this might not be the most secretive of information. This might not be the biggest bombshell I'm about to reveal if you've at all chit-chatted the chit-chat with Rondine. However, there is a lot of implications behind it and a lot of meaning you can draw from simply her surroundings, her ship, her outfit, everything that she has brought with her that I think are absolutely fascinating. So, Rondine is a trader from a faraway land, a land that we have not seen yet in the Monster Hunter world, and that makes sense. On a base level, travel in Monster Hunter isn't exactly too frequent. I mean, on one hand, it's a world infested with giant terrifying death monsters, so, you know, just bobbing out for a bit without good reason seems like a poor thing to do. It's why there's so many localized bubbles of culture and communities across the Monster Hunter world. It's why you have such vast differences between villages in their aesthetic and how they actually operate. When you have something so feudally Japanese, Eastern inspired as Kimura, and then you also in the same world have something that looks straight out of a dwarven mounting, mining, forging operation. In something like Hearth, which is run by the Trovarians, who are essentially mole people, which is very, very cool. But the point is, you don't have to travel a very long distance to experience something entirely different from your own way of life. Also, this means that everyone has their kind of different way of ruling or running their settlements, their villages. Obviously, the guild and the leader of said guild is one overarching governing body, given that hunting is so central to the Monster Hunter world. But within that, you have the elders, you have the leaders, you have the commanders. And in Rondine's case, you have her queen. And that's going to be important, but let's not jump the bowgun. Rondine, seemingly a trader traveling far and wide to, well, trade. She's got drawings of places she's visited. She has ore from various faraway Monster Hunter towns that we have been to in previous games. You know, the cover is strong, but that's the thing. It is a cover. Once you beat Narwa, she'll quite literally tell you why she is here. And, well, the answer to that is Hamon. See, her mission is to find an incredibly capable smithy to bring back to her home kingdom, in order to have them forge weapons and teach their local smithies how to do the same. And Hamon is one of the most skilled blacksmiths in all of Monster Hunter, so in him she's found the answer. But she's come to like Kimura and its people so much that she's not going to use any underhanded methods to get it done. She'd rather just convince him to willingly go with her. So yeah, that's nice of her, but there's so much more to this. Firstly, Rondine is not a trader. She is a knight. Which is already incredible because yes, where we're going here is a medieval type place in Monster Hunter. Like medieval swords, plate armor, you know, a bit of, you know, that kind of, yeah, like that's, look, I love medieval setting, I really do, I think it's fantastic, you know, knights, castles, kings, it's just really cool, and infused with the quirkiness and wonderfulness of Monster Hunter, god, but again, I'm getting ahead of myself. She is a knight, and a knight where she is from is just another word for hunter, but just knowing there is a place in Monster Hunter where there is, like, armies of knights acting as hunters, that's so cool. Does the guild even know about this? Do they have a hand in it? Again, given how travel is in Monster Hunter, yes, it's dangerous, but also it's infrequent. There is boats, there is airships, but airships isn't just something you can hop on. They are reserved for, well, hunters and important missions, so just generally exploring is quite difficult. There is likely hundreds of ways of life, settlements of countries and land masses that we've not discovered. Hell, the whole point of Monster Hunter World and Iceborne is, oh, wow, there is an entire continent we've just not even noticed before. goddamn! And that's obviously going to keep happening, and where Rondine is from is somewhere I am very keen to explore. So she references that she is here in the name of her queen, and obviously given queen or king, that also reinforces that setting. It's also no coincidence that her trader helpers, her palicos, are wearing very knighty, metal platey armor. That also reinforces the setting, the theme. And then just her stuff, from the wheels of cheese, to the barrels, to the jars, to the goods that she has with her. Now, granted, there is stuff that's a little bit more modern, which might make me think it's a bit more Renaissance-y, a bit more modern, so instead of, you know, knights with swords, it might be musketeers with muskets, but that kind of general setting. The Middle Ages, or the medieval era, was year 1000 to year 1500, Renaissance, year 1400 to 1600 to 1700 type area. There is definitely a strong overlap there, so they kind of do mingle. The musket itself, well, invented in the 1500s-ish, maybe a little bit later. Clearly, the conquistadors were one of their first prominent users, but in any case, I am getting ahead of myself. We are talking that kind of setting. And honestly, her whole trading cover is another kind of little hint. Obviously, there's something as famous as the British East India Trading Company that was formed at the start of the 17th century, you know, heading slowly into the era of piracy, and she really does have this vibe of trading exotic spices and goods and rare fruits in the name of queen and country as her homeland expands and forays out into the world. We also have the fact that her ship itself is reminiscent of ships both trading and war of the eras we're talking about. We have even classic knightly crests on classic kite shields affixed to her ship. We have Rondine's clear crest itself hanging from the banners. She has a clear color scheme. This white, green, gold is Rondine's family's line. It's their crest, it's their colors, it's what represents them. And you know, a monster hunter take on the idea of noble houses and that kind of like is also a very, very fascinating thing. Basically, the existence of Rondine here, with everything that she's brought with her, with everything that she says, implies and essentially proves that somewhere in the Monster Hunter world, there is a land, or city, or culture that has the aesthetic and the way of life akin to Western Europe amidst sort of the year 1300 to the year 1800. Medievally, Renaissance-y, piratey, tradey, swords and flintlock pistols, and, you know, you can dream. They will obviously take artistic license, draw from various sources, but that kind of setting, which is my favorite setting for any kind of fantasy thing, it's also one of my favorite settings for actual history, so I am all over this. But just examining everything here and essentially working out what kind of background she's from isn't the end of it. Why is she desperate for a smith? Why is she desperate for a master smith? Why has she been sent to fetch one? I doubt it's just a passion project for the queen. I imagine something's going down that necessitates it. Maybe her homeland is being attacked by monsters that their weapons are currently ineffective or struggling with. Maybe there is a threat that they need outside help. Maybe they have sent multiple people like Rondine around the rest of the world to try and trade, or if that doesn't work, using any means necessary to bring things back that will bolster them. It's entirely possible they're being affected by the rampage too, and they're struggling a lot more than Chimera is, thanks to Chimera's better weapons and, of course, you the Hunter being there. And you the Hunter is a big one. Who will Rondine recruit outside of Hammond to help her homeland with a problem that she has been sent to try and help fix by the Queen? Well, yeah, you the Hunter. What better reinforcements could there be than the player Hunter who can beat any monster, no matter what it is? So to me, and this is where we get a little bit more, well, kinda predicty, jabbing in the dark, but still, to me, a perfect G-rank expansion for Rise would be one where we go to Rondine's homeland. We get a new hub base, a new town, new set of maps to represent it, new monsters to represent it. We can still have the rampage, because again, it can be affecting them over there, just in a different way. And look, talking of the rampage, what goddamn better way to evolve the Rampage with how we have it now than have a aesthetic of Rampage that is a castle siege? Not these wooden barriers and setups and all of that, but actual stone walls, proper siege fortifications, actual siege weaponry unlike anything we've seen before, full-on siege warfare Rampage Monster Hunter edition, castling it up, trebucheting monsters. Come on! Would that not be ridiculous? I feel like it's a natural fit for something that is Rampage, which is essentially monsters sieging a village. If that village still has castles as part of its aesthetic, God, that makes for a cool battle. Fighting monsters along a wall? Oh, I am really getting kind of excited here. Obviously, she also has her painting. She has the other villages. She has a depiction of the Jen Moran fight as well, so that might come into play. Maybe these are just places she's been, little memorials, but the point is, to me, you could not ask for a better G-Rank expansion than a hard contrast going from Kimura Village's aesthetic to a more medievally swords, renaissance-y ships, castle-y aesthetic in her homeland, and the two villages are connected via her, so it feels like a natural bridge. It also feels natural she'd invite you to go. It feels like a natural setting for the Rampage. Meeting the queen of whatever this place is would be really satisfying. Finding out the culture of these night hunters would also be incredibly satisfying. I really adore this concept, and I cannot believe that Rondine has been fleshed out so much with visual and aesthetic choices and details around her. She could have just been any random NPC, but this is so deliberate. And for me, what I would love, I won't go as far to say predict, but what I would love is a G-Rank expansion involving her homeland and her people's way of life and hunting, because God, does that appeal to me. Alright guys, let me know what you think of all that. I would love to hear your opinions too. Subscribe for more, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.